Hey everybody, what's cracking? What's cracking? Lacking. Everybody, give me a 5 for 5 if you would, and we'll go ahead and get into this. Yeah, we've had some interesting stuff, I have to say. I mean, we just had some data come in from some of the official websites that track the sun cycle, and we're seeing some pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, so Isaiah's granny says it's 5 for 5, baby. 5 by 5. Did that even go over? Not even sure. Nope. Try it again. Maybe that one works. We'll see. Hope it works. I don't know if it worked or not, but we'll definitely see here in just a second as my lag catches up. I'm not sure if that showed up at the bottom of the screen or not. I guess I can look on. Yep, there it is. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's had a good start to their weekend. I had a pretty awesome day yesterday with my daughter. She's a senior, and was her last year. She might do super senior next year, doing what's called doublettes or color guard marching band things. She got fourth. They got fourth last night in state. That's pretty decent. Had a couple of upsets. The team that had won 4 years in a row ended up getting third. I felt sorry for those people, but yeah, time to pass the torch to another school for a minute. But anyway, we're just going to say that. So hope everybody is doing good. Please share this out. We do have some very interesting space weather to talk about, guys. Good morning, Darren. Good to see you, bud. I added that extension back in here, guys. So I hope that'll help people know, like when I address a comment. Thank you, Raven. I appreciate you. Know what I'm speaking to. So if you guys got a question or what have you, you can pop it in there, and when we go to answer those, I'll just flash it up there on screen, and we'll do that. And if you become a member or gift memberships, it actually has like this gold banner it throws up there. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool little extension. I used it a lot over on the lifeboat, and what in the world? Are you kidding me? Holy cow. What are you doing there, Planet Hermit? Whoa. 50 memberships. Holy cow. Guys, whoever gets those, please let her know. Let them know, please. That's a lot. Thank you. Very generous. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Okay. So, I am going to go ahead and move on, and we will I'll say thanks again about halfway through, and then we'll talk about it at the end. Just trying to respect everybody, because I know when I say thanks too much, people get on me. Hey, Aaliyah got one. A lot of people got one. Just tell Planet Hermit thank you. That is awesome. So cool. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the space weather, because I know that's why everybody's here. They don't want to hear me just ramble on about my daughter and how proud I am of her. So we'll just move on from that. But thank you again, Planet Hermit. That floors me. So thank you. And forgive me for asking this. I know I've already asked you before. What's your gender? Are you male, female? What? I don't want to call you by the wrong thing there. I misgender people all the time, and it irritates me. My memory really just sucks. But let me know in the chat if you could, and I'll try to remember. I remember you guys by screen names, and I'm not just saying that. Once we talk a little bit more and become a little bit more, my brain tends to remember more. But you got to remember. I'm talking to a lot of people, and it just really does. It's hard to kind of keep track sometimes. So, but thank you. Okay, so, guys, we've had some record-breaking stuff. An X-45 flare, right? A lot of you guys might know about that event. It was the 2003 Halloween event. And I'm only bringing this up because the sun is looking very, very similar to what it did right before that event happened. Okay? This sun cycle is officially overachieving. There is no question about it. This sun cycle is, the numbers are in, and we came in at, I think the official number, at least from the European agency, was 196 sunspots this month, back in July. So, and you guys heard me talking about that, coming up to that. I told you guys, I said, hey, the official number, if it was to stop today, would be like at 220 something. But we moved forward like a week or so, and they, those averages kind of bring it back down to the number they settled on was 196, I believe is what it was. Well, I think Dr. Tony Phillips reported on it. Let's see, what did he say here? I could go 196.5, okay? And we'll talk about this in a minute right there. We'll go back to that in a minute. I don't want to read all that to you guys. I would rather you guys go check it out on his channel or his webpage, because he deserves the traffic. They do the work. You know what I mean? It's only right. So that's just what I'll say there. Now, guys, you can see, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. This is just the 2nd and the 3rd of August. We had a really, really fast mover over here. Okay, now I was watching this, and I know I didn't live stream yesterday, but if that had caused a radiation storm, I probably would have at least posted a short or something to let you guys know that happened. But that was a very, very significant eruption. I've got that slowed down, and it's still moving fast. And I'll show it to you on the coronagraph here in just a minute. But this thing is, that was a powerful one. And when I say powerful, I'm talking about just the initial speed, the fan of it, the degree of how wide it is as it moved out was fairly large. Now, to give you guys a perspective of what that X-45 flare did, it broke records. Okay, and the reason why it broke records, that was recorded history, to where we were actually recording the X-ray. Now, we all know that the Carrington event was bigger, right? It's like, I think I think they kind of settled on the flare of an X-80, something like that. But they were not really at that time they hadn't understood that there really was a difference between a CME and a flare. So the data they were recording got skewed really, really bad because of that. So with that being said, the Halloween event was the biggest recorded flare in history. So yeah, it was back in 2003. Right now we're at a 23-year high for the amount of sunspots. Okay, now if you guys got to understand that I've been talking about that for a long time too, and we've been talking about the forecasting, right? You guys know I try not to forecast. I wish I could. I wish I was better at that, but I don't. And I've told you guys why. There's a lot of people out there that do it better than me. So I can now cast, and because I do trust quite a few people. Well, I wouldn't say quite a few. I trust a few people when I'm listening to what they're saying about sunspots. Dr. Tony Phillips is one. Well, Dr. Timothy Scobe is another. So just remember that. And that's where, when I start reporting on those numbers, those will be official numbers. I'm not going to come out and say, hey, we had 532 sunspots last week. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to do that, something crazy like that. You might get that somewhere else, but you're not going to get that here. And to be honest with you, that's kind of why I do what I do. I can report this at a kindergarten level as far as space weather goes. That's kind of how I see what I do. I don't know. I hate using the word kindergarten because that kind of insinuates whatever it insinuates, right? I just don't have the knowledge base as somebody that's been to school for this. I'm learning, and I will continue to learn, and I will never stop, because I will never ever accept the fact, not fact, but I will never ever assume that I know everything about anything. Okay? The second you do that is the second you stop learning. You got to challenge yourself, what you think you know, and you got to challenge others also. And you challenge the status quo, right? Nope. Any scientist out there should not be getting mad at people for challenging status quo. And what I mean by that, I'm just saying that we got to continue to prove out what we're asserting as fact. And most of the time, it's not hard to do, because once something's accepted fact, it doesn't need to be revisited 1,000 times. Now, when somebody is writing their thesis or just doing whatever they're doing for college, you'll oftentimes see them do some big like final test, final review, or whatever they call it, if it's a thesis or a paper that they're trying to get peer reviewed. They'll tackle something that is already accepted fact. So that's what I'm saying. So when you challenge accepted fact, you're the one taking on the responsibility to try to prove to people that that's not the case, right? It's not up to the rest of the world to prove you wrong when you're challenging accepted fact. It's up to you to prove you right. Not to prove the world wrong, but to prove what you're saying is right. And we don't see that happening, hardly ever. And it's unfortunate. Now, we do see it with a few. People will do it, and they'll go, as long as they do it the right way, I have no problem with that kind of stuff, right? And the basis of science, you have to challenge stuff, guys. I just don't understand why people get upset when you challenge either alternative ideas or mainstream ideas. I don't care where it comes from. If it's the truth, it's the truth. And if it's accepted fact to the rest of the world, then somebody's going to have to show me really, really good stuff to get me to change my mind on that. And it would take a minute. It's not going to happen overnight. And you can't just use one point either. I've had that thrown out at me too. Well, that's just one thing. No. Everything needs to be explained. It has to, or it's just not going to work. But anyway, enough of that rant. And that had everything to do with space weather, because we see it a lot. So anyway, this is the 94 angstrom, and what we're looking at here, guys, is SDO. It's this satellite right here. It's in geosynchronistic orbit, and right now we're in what we call eclipse season. So the Earth is passing between this satellite and the sun every so often, every day right now. Okay? But it's going to do it for like 2 weeks, and then it'll go back to not doing it at all. And then about 6 months from now, it'll do it again. That's just an eclipse season for this satellite. Now you can see that by looking at, if you see that yellow beam? That's the direction, that's the eye that's looking at the sun. So when you see these shadows, if you take the time to look at this, you can actually see when the sun comes back into view right there. You see that? So the satellite itself is actually rotating as it stays over this part of our planet at all times. Now, I believe when that goes purple, I don't think it means it's on the dark side of the planet. What that means is I think that's the amount of time it's eclipsed, if I'm correct. But I could be wrong on that, so I don't want to claim. I need to look at that. I haven't really looked at that in a minute. Okay, so if we go look at the official sunspots, we're going to go over here to NOAA real quick. We are under a geomagnetic storm warning because we're expecting a CME to hit at any time. And I think it's already hitting. We're just waiting to see if it's going to push us up into storm level. And it could, very well could. I was over here looking and messing around a little while ago. That's why this is back this far. So what we're going to do, if you look right here, we came in just under 200 this month. Okay? Oh, thank you, Genius by Birth. Awesome sauce, man. Let me, sorry, I didn't see that. I apologize. Let's put that up there for a minute. Alright? I think it went anyway. Pretty sure it did. Let's see if, oh, hey, Full Hope. What's up? Okay, we'll see if that one went on there and stayed on there. Anyway, I'm I like that little extension. I just think it's cool for you guys to see that. You know what I mean? Okay, so when you get this right here, you get 200, almost 200 sunspots. And if you start comparing that to other sun cycles, you know, they were forecasting this one to be very similar to sun cycle 24. And it is not. It's not even close. We are completely obliterating the numbers of sunspots that were expected. So yeah. So we'll just, you know, and that's just what it is. Now, if you look at this, see this red line? That's the actual forecasted number. So you can see how sun cycle 24 and 25 are going to be very similar if it was to come out of the forecasted, you know, be close to the forecast. Now, we never expect that to be exactly right. That's why you're seeing that gray shaded area. That's the plus or minus that they allow themselves to have for one side or the other. They're not even close to that in these last, well, a lot of the months here. Okay? So there were a few scientists that came out and they were saying, hey, we think this sun cycle's going to be more active for this, that, and the third reason, right? And a lot of people latched onto that and was really watching things after that. They were respected scientists. They were doing peer-reviewed papers and studies and everything else. So they were doing it the right way. And it seems as though they're the ones that are more correct this sun cycle. At least so far. I mean, you can't... Look at this. Back in sun cycle 24 was a very, very minimal cycle, right? It wasn't very active. And when I say that, keep in mind that we had some decent-sized storms back here. Okay? Yeah, 2017, we seen some big stuff, and a few other years in there also. But if we take this and we go back, and we just go back to sun cycle 23, this is looking more like sun cycle 23. And it's actually, I mean, it really is looking fairly close to sun cycle 23. So 2001 was the last time we had a sunspot number come in any higher than what we just got. So it's been 23 years since that's happened. It's went through almost 2 full sun cycles. Well, yeah, it's 23 years. So it's a year past the sun cycle. Well, 11-year sun cycle. So when we're looking at that, we got to keep that in mind. Now, is this going to continue the trend upward or not? So why does it even matter? Well, it just means that we're going to be more active. And when things are more active, we got a better chance to have the big stuff happening. And that's why, you know, I'm pointing out, and we're going to take a look at an image here in just a minute. And I want you guys to check this out because this is really, really cool. This was done by Senol Sanli. Credit to him. Awesome stuff right here. What he's done is he's just taken the July sunspots every day and taken a still shot at the same time and overlaid it right there. Okay, so when we're talking about this is what the sun looked like back when we had the Halloween storm, this is what we're talking about. I mean, yeah, it's huge. That's a lot of sunspots. It looks like, you know, got chicken pox or something, measles, something. But the great Halloween storm that he's talking about here too, and it's also we had the generational storm back in May of this year. The Century class, right? Right here. That's when we had the big May in 2024, the G5 storm. So we weren't, you know, those kinds of storms are only expected like once every 100 years right there, the way that I understand it. So yeah, it's a Century class geomagnetic storm. You guys can click on these hyperlinks. But please come over here and give Dr. Tony Phillips some love, okay? So when we're looking at this, he kind of mapped that out. And I don't want to stay on this page very long because I really do want you guys to go read it over there if you could. Do me a favor by supporting him, by giving him the traffic he deserves for doing this work. You know, there's a lot of people in our community that look at this every day. Not just the smaller channels. I'm talking the big channels look at this every day. Okay? because it's such accurate and up-to-date information. That's why. Okay. Also, if you're looking for an app, there's something called the Carrington app, and I had a he hit me up and he gives me a free membership to that. Guys, go check it out. It's a really cool app. You can get space weather warnings and things like that when we get big flares and CMEs and stuff like that. So just go to your Play Store, whatever device you have, and check that out and consider getting that. I'm not sponsored or nothing, so don't think like that. It ain't even like that at all, believe me. So, yeah, but go check it out. I'm just pointing you over there because I think it's a good app. And he's a good person. So, I won't point you to somebody that's a jerk. Or, you know, if they got good, I always tell you guys to go listen to them, even if they're jerks. But we don't, you know, like dwell on that, I guess, if you want to say that. Now, so what we're going to do here, guys, I'm going to X out of that SDO. And we're going to, I do want to show you the eruption, that one over there on the side, over here on Seeds. Now, this is LASCO C2. That satellite is called SOHO. And the LASCO C2 instruments on that satellite observatory. It's 1 million miles closer to the sun. That's what we see, right? So when I look at this, we got to keep that in mind. It's kind of it's like our first point of contact for a warning, almost. So when we got something coming right at us, it's going to hit this satellite first. And it's 1 million miles away from us, so we do get about an hour warning typically before something hits because the satellite sees it. So, yeah. So I just want you guys to understand that. Now, back here on the second, there was that big blast off here to what we call the danger zone, right? You guys know I don't like that term because they're talking about shooting it over there because it causes radiation storms. If it crosses our magnetic field line, we'll get an influx of protons that can move backwards to us because of magnetics. But when we're looking at this is an occulter disk, right? That's a physical disk on the imager. Blocks the main light of the sun. So that's what we see. And we have to have that to get an image at all. But that right there is a very, very significant eruption. Okay? It was moving fast, and you can see the spread on it. Now, got to picture yourself over here, right? Stereo A used to be way over here. We used to have that side view. We don't have that anymore. But if you were over here, or even over here to the right, you would be looking at that thing either from the back or head on, and it would completely cover this. It would be a complete full halo if you were looking at that from the front. Okay, it would just, yeah, it would be very, very intense. So I'll just say that. Now, it did produce a decent sized flare. And then the eruption afterward. But now we've got other things happening too all over the sun. The sun is erupting everywhere. And I've been talking about this. And we need to make sure that we're watching this stuff coming. We can't let our guard down when it comes to this stuff. We got to make sure that we're paying attention and staying on top of it. And I think that for the most part, all of us kind of are. So let me, I'll tell you what, let me get that off there. Sorry about that, guys. I don't want to like leave all that stuff up there all the time. It might block what I'm trying to show you. This is the 131 angstrom. It's a part of the light spectrum we can't see. And again, this is SDO. Our eyeballs can't see that, so it's looking at that light spectrum to look at this specific gas. So I'm going to back this off just a little bit so we can see it better. Get a better overall image here. And so you can see it here, and just look at that thing just crackling. I mean, it truly is just like always flaring somewhere. And we don't always get this. So we're going into the peak of solar maximum, and this is going to do nothing but ramp up more. And once it finally hits its peak and we have the termination event where the poles flip on the sun, then things might start to slow down. But until that happens, it's not going to slow down. And we've not seen that happen yet. So it's pretty obvious when it does happen, but they will even actually wait a month or two to decide when the actual date happened, because it is kind of hard to see once in a while, but it is obvious at the same time because activity will do that. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for real. Thank you so much for that membership. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Let me put you up there, okay? Let me take the time to do that, Mel. Thank you. Appreciate you, bud. Let me know if that showed up. I think it probably did at the bottom. If it doesn't, I'll flop you up there in a minute, okay? Thank you. But again, guys, I'm gonna load a few more images here, guys. If you guys could give me a roll call in there, just regional. That's all I'm asking. I like to know where you guys are from because it does help us understand each other better sometimes. I got viewers from all over the world, but I like to know it because it's really cool. You know, kind of feel like, hey man, I got a friend in Australia. What about you? No, I'm just kidding. I do have some good friends in Australia, though. Shout out to my boy, Alan Ballantyne. I ain't talked to him in a minute. He's a good dude, man. He really is. A lot of you guys know who Alan is. A lot of you do. So let's, if we're looking at this is the BZ, right? I was actually going to go into a little bit more detail on the BZ today, but given all that information that just came in, I don't want to keep you guys here all day. So I will be explaining the BZ at a more detailed level the next time I talk about this. Okay, the BZ is this red line, and what it's basically, it's the magnetic orientation. And I'll get into more detail, but for just like today's purposes, all you really need to have a decent understanding of is that we're looking for -6 or more negative. And that puts us in a position to where the stuff just gets drawn into our system. Kind of couples together with CMEs, and it just draws it in magnetically, and that's how we get the big geomagnetic storms. So unless we get to that -6 threshold, typically we don't go into big storming. Now we went into -6 area here, and here, and it's still bouncing around, okay? Now, when you see it kind of steady here all the way up to there, and you see how the BT, and I'll explain what that is one day too, the BT and the BZ start separating almost like an alligator's mouth, right? At that point where it starts doing that, my observation there would be that we typically do start to see a hit from a CME. We're experiencing space weather usually when we see that. So that's what I'll say. Hey Wages, what's your take on possible solar flash next year? That's a big question, man. That's a big question, Ed. That's a big one. That takes a lot of explanation. My take on that, do I think it's possible? I think everything's possible. You'll never hear me just say, hey, no, that stuff ain't possible. What are you guys talking about? You know, I've never said that, and I never will. But thank you for that $20 super chat, and we can talk about that, okay? And we can go into detail about that later on. But yeah, I know what you're talking about with the solar flash thing. But you know, to be honest with you, I don't know. Let me say this: I can follow somebody's conversation when talking about that. I have not dug into that ever. Okay. So I would be timid to like just offer a straight up, blanket opinion on that right now, because I don't know that would actually where my opinion would land. I would have to look at it some more, Ed, before I gave you a really clear answer. It would be kind of irresponsible of me just to kind of start shooting from the hip there. You know what I mean? But it is a definite thing that people look at, and it is definitely something we can look at also. So thank you for that, though. Thank you for that super chat, and thank you for the question. It's a good question. And I'm not afraid to give you my take on it. I just need to get a little bit more studied up on that. So once I do, we'll revisit it, I promise. So as we're looking at this, again, this is our geoelectric field, okay? It's our electric fields at the surface. And what this is doing, it's showing us space weather's effect on unnatural electrical components. Now remember, space weather is causing geomagnetic storming. This is geoelectric. So geomagnetic actually affects geoelectric and vice versa. Because if anybody knows how electricity works, you know, you got your atoms, and it robs a free electron, and that's why copper and silver and gold, all those are really good conductors, because they have those extra or easily moved electrons, right? So that flow of electrons is why we call it electricity. And I know it's a basic concept, and I know a lot of people are thinking, why are you talking like that for? Because there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And that, you know, why would they really have a basic understanding of that if they've never had to change a light socket or change a wall switch? You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't have that kind of a drive. They're doing something different with their lives and they're having somebody help them with that. So it's a legitimate thing for me to say, to explain what electricity is. But magnetics moves very similar, and both of those will find the path of least resistance, just like water. Okay? So that's why when we talk about the stuff coming in geomagnetically on our poles, why is it coming in on our poles? It's the path of least resistance. That's why. The negative and the positive are drawn towards each other. So that's why, again, this, where'd I go with it? BZ is important. Because if it's negative, if it's in the positive, it's actually helping deflect stuff. So that's why I talk about that. So, but yeah. Now, I'm sorry, guys. I got so wrapped up into that, and I guess that was a good thing for me to get wrapped up into because it was on the subject here. Hey, Miss V, good to see you. Man, I need to see where you guys are from. Hey, Ron, good to see you, brother. You know, Joseph, you said God wants to help Earth with these strong solar flares. You know what? Solar flares, geomagnetic activity, we absolutely need some of that. Okay? That's 100% we need some of that. The sun helps protect us from the sun. So, I'll leave it at that. At the poles, yeah. On Earth, yeah. Let's see here. Where's everybody from? I'm going to scroll back a little bit here, guys. Sorry. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, okay. That's good. Yep. Decatur, Dillards. Miss V, what's up, Miss V? All right. Mel Claudius, where are you from? Okay. Hey, Hilly, what's up? Hey, Viola. Miss V's in the house. I'm just trying to look for where everybody's from. Torodal? Yeah, Miss Planet Hermit. Daryl Calhoun, what's up? But yeah. Guys, I missed a whole lot of comments in there, just so you know. I have to look on my phone, but I'm trying to put it up here too. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Appreciate you. Oh, there you are. Yep, there you are. UK. Full hopes from UK. All right. Freedom Underground. What's up? Chattanooga? Yeah. I've been to Chattanooga, guys. If you guys have never been to Chattanooga, you guys should head down there to Tennessee and do that. Ruby Falls is a very cool place to go. So, yeah. So, let me keep moving here. Guys, I am missing a lot in chat. Chat's moving a lot today. So, I apologize if I missed your comments. Okay. So, this is our geomagnetic field. It's our magnetopause, and what we're seeing is the sun's off to the left. All the energy's coming from left to right. Correct? You know? So, as we're looking at this, let me pause it. Go this way with it. This is velocity, right? And you can see stuff starting to hit. That's just what's happening. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. So let's do this and hit play here. And here we go. I'll pause that. All right. Look at that. That's the density. Okay? Now, it ain't like massively intense, right? So that's what I'll say. I'll just leave it at that. But hey, Miss V, good to see you, girl. I ain't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Menacing. I ain't seen a lot of people in a minute. Guys, I tell you, I have like, I've had no time to watch anybody else's channel basically except for um, Adam at night because my family's in bed and stuff. So I watch Marfrugal TV every day. Obviously, a lot of you guys are from there anyway. But as far as anybody else's channel and stuff, I've been having a hard time getting around. It's I do like listen for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I always go back to the people and leave a like and share and to all the channels that I support. I do that. I try to make a conscious effort to do that because our community should support each other. Um, you know, it's just what it needs to be in order to make the whole thing strong. We don't always have to agree either. And I think that's an important thing to know too. Um, don't mean we have to hate each other. That's kind of my point. And I've said that since the beginning of my channel, so that ain't nothing new that I've said. But anyway, guys, so you can see that. Now, I want to show you guys the 304 here on SDO. And the reason why I want to show you 304, we had a filament eruption also. And this happened right when I was setting up for the stream, and it's down here. You can see this dark shadow. Watch it lift off. See that? And when that lifted off, it almost created what we call a canyon of fire there, which is nothing more than just the corona kind of opening up and exposing some of the surface of the sun. Okay? That happens. It's ripping plasma off the sun when that filament releases. And those filaments are just like inside an incandescent light bulb. Okay? When they break, like an old incandescent light bulb, you shake it, you can hear that little metal piece. Same thing's happening here on the sun. When that breaks, it just shoots out. And it is plasma. Now remember, plasma is the fourth state of matter. But also, plasma is nothing more than charged gas. So that's why we're looking at gas here, and it's just got it's highly charged gas. That's what plasma is. I guess it doesn't have to be like highly charged, but it's a gas that has a charge. That fourth state of matter wasn't always there in our textbooks. That was added, I can't remember what year, but it hasn't always been there forever. So, you know, solid, liquid, gas, solid, liquids, and gases have always been there, that kind of thing. But the other, plasma, has not. So when we get hit by plasma, that is our geomagnetic storming, right? So that's why we look at these filaments breaking off. Now inside a light bulb, it's a coil, right? And it increases friction. That friction causes heat, and that heat produces light. So when those free electrons are moving in that electrical circuit, it makes it harder for those electrons to make it past that coil, right? So then they start bunching up. You know how like I talk about the snowplow effect with CMEs? That's why I'm talking about this like this. I'm not trying to like get off subject. This really does apply. So when you get that buildup, you get more energy, right? So inside of a light bulb, that energy turns to heat, and then that heat puts off the light. But when we're talking about these filaments erupting, that buildup is hitting our magnetic field. So that's why it causes geomagnetic storming. Energy, right? Energy in means energy out. So I just want you guys to kind of understand that. You're kind of right, Freedom Underground. I mean, honestly, I actually would almost agree with you there. There's a lot of preppers that leave where they live and go there. I've heard a lot of people go there. My in-laws actually live there. You guys know, those of you guys that live in Tennessee, if you guys know where Crossville is, you probably do. It's a fairly decent size. It's right off of Interstate 40 on about right dead smack in the middle of the state. It's in between Knoxville and Nashville. We used to vacation there, and then her mom and dad actually moved there when they retired. They live on a golf course. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, right? Get off my golf course! Just kidding. Okay, so let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I want you guys to understand that we don't need to blow this out of proportion as far as the amount of sunspots we're seeing, okay? But I also don't want to underplay it either. This is significant. If it was only a jump of 10 outside of what they were forecasting, we wouldn't be talking about this. This is not a jump of 10, okay? This is a jump. Look at this. They were actually forecasting about, looks like about 120. So we had 80 more, roughly 80 more sunspots than what the official forecast was. There's months down here, guys, that you don't get 80 in a month. Okay? During solar minimum, you have full years where you don't have any. Okay? So keep that in mind. And it's just, and when you compare it to the other, if you look down here where my cursor's at, right? Let me get that message off the screen. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see here. So yeah, so when you compare this, now, if I drag this back to 1859, right? You get your Carrington event right there. Right? So look at the sunspot number, guys. I'm pointing this out for a reason. What's the sunspot number? What you got here? Right around right where we're sitting. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. What I'm saying is that the activity level is enough for us to actually entertain something like that is possible. And that's why we talk about it. Now, I'm not insinuating that at all, okay? That is not happening right now. If that's ever going to be the case, you guys know, I'm going to jump right out here and say, listen, what's up? You know, hey, this is happening. Right? So, that'll be the first thing out of my mouth, if I can even get here. There's a good chance that something like that was to happen. Guess what? I wouldn't even have a chance to come out here and tell you. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Okay? Because if I give you guys the awareness, I actually just had this conversation with my wife. She's very involved with what I do here, guys. She really is. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have any. She bought all the equipment and everything else that I have. So, it's her stuff, right? So, with that being said, we had that conversation, and yeah, it's possible. So when we do the awareness thing, we want that to happen. That way, if something like that does happen, and I can't get out here and tell you, you know that is actually possible, is what's going on. So you're not going to be scared. That's my point. I'm trying to drop the fear level, and I think we do a very good job of that here. I don't allow any kind of stupidness going on, you know what I mean? We don't do the drama thing. We don't do the, hey, you know, this big thing's happening over here at 2 o'clock with 35 seconds and 42 milliseconds. We don't do that kind of pinpoint anything. I'm not afraid to make a mistake, but I'm also not going to not correct myself either, right? So I want you guys to understand that. So when I say things like this, that, hey, this is possible, it's possible, but it would be the first thing I would say if I could get here. But if I can give you guys the awareness and the tools that you don't have to listen for it to come out of my mouth, then I succeeded. That's the goal. That way when something does happen, you guys know what's up, at least what's possibly up. The rest of the world's not going to. It's just not going to be like that unless we can get this out to more and more people. And I'm talking about just space weather in general. This is a subject, and this is why I love Dr. Tamitha Skov so much, because she is like on the forefront of pushing this subject out there so far, and is very intelligent, and it blows my mind, because I learn every time I go over there, I learn something. And it's giving people a better understanding of space weather. But now, because of what she's doing, I have a better understanding, right? This is how this works. And then I'm able to share that with you guys. So I would just say that. But let's do this here real quick. Okay, so let's go with let's see here. See here, think what's up? Yeah, exactly. You can only that's a good comment there, Hermit. It really is. Matter of fact, I need to put that up there. That's a very good comment because let me catch up here a little bit. Okay, so that's highlighted on there. It's called for. Only worry about what you can control. Listen, I've said that since the beginning of my channel. I'm not going to worry about something I can't control. I'm going to be aware that that can happen, and that's the whole point. I can't control it. I can't stop it. I can't stop the sun from doing anything it wants to. None of us can. That's why we got to be aware, and then we got to make the proper steps. And, you know, some people prep at a level that other people don't agree with, right? They go extreme, right? And then on the other end, some people don't prep enough. So who's right? Let me tell you who's right in that situation. The only person that's right is the one that does it at a level that they want to. They have to be comfortable with where they're at. That's why I don't push it and push it and push it. I tell people, hey, we need to prep 100%. I say that all the time. I do everything with prepping in mind, actually. You know, because even if it's just for a snowstorm or just anything, right? And I would also say this too, guys. I would say that, I'm trying to put this in words here. Yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank on how to explain that. But if we can get people to be more aware, it makes that easier on the rest of us that are trying to do the right thing. So what I'm saying is, if we prep and prep and prep, and this is what I did. I'll just tell you what I do. I prep to a level where I'm comfortable, and I think that's where I need to be. But I listen to everybody else all the time because I can be wrong, right? So what I do is I go to that level, and then I go one step further. That's how I do things. And I buy things that I can use if nothing happens. You rotate it through so you're not wasting your stuff. And that's the responsible way to do things, right? Nobody thinks anybody can just go out and drop 80 grand on something immediately and be prepped and be able to be off grid for the rest of your life. We all know that that is not something that most people can achieve tomorrow. That's why we talk about it today, and we continue to talk about it because it takes time to build that up. And I do think that that is what everybody needs to do. If you live on a coastline anywhere, most of you guys are already prepping of some sort. If you live in an earthquake area, you're prepping for some sort. If you live in a very, very cold and snowy environment, you are prepping at some level. If you live in Tornado Alley, you're prepping for some level. If you live on the Gulf Coast, East Coast, or live out in the Pacific Ocean, you know, Hawaii, even Hawaii is affected by hurricanes, Japan, I mean, guys, people prep everywhere. And that's what I'm saying. So what I prep might not be right for you, and what you prep might not be right for me. Well, you're welcome, Linda B. I appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. Let me put that up there for you. Let's have them catch that. Hey, we're spreading that love, love. Love is why evil don't have is what evil don't have. I like that name. Seven Son, what's up, brother? 100%, Steve. Wow. When you let the devil in, he goes for your soul. There you have it. That's a mic drop statement right there, people. I'm not kidding. It doesn't. You don't even need to say anything else after that. Because if that's what's happening, you're going to protect yourself, right? Thank you for the super chat, Steve. Guys, and by the way, Steve's the one that leaves us the comments, the dad jokes, and I post it at the top of my comment section under each video. There's a couple I have forgotten to do that, but yeah. Oh, hey Cheryl, what's up? You know, you make a good point there, Cheryl. It's hard to prep for tornadoes. And what I mean by that is having like food stored and stuff like that. And the reason why it's hard is because when the tornado rolls through, where's your stuff? I ain't trying to laugh, but it's probably in the next county over, right? If you actually get hit by one. So what I'm saying is if you're going to do something like that, have it in a location that's not going to happen like that. Put it in your storm shelter. You know, I guess that's probably what happens. And guys, I would encourage anybody that lives in the Midwest, that lives in Tornado Alley, to actually get online and look for the new Tornado Alley. It has moved, okay? It's moved a little bit to the east and to the south. It's a little bit different of a shape now. So keep that in mind, because you might not have been in Tornado Alley last year, but you are now. And what I'm saying is, that's why I'm saying it. I live in Indiana, and we always fight tornadoes. We're not in the heart of Tornado Alley, but we're not too far away from it. I'll just say that we've had lots of tornadoes here. So just so you know. Now, I live in a place, we live kind of in a bowl. And guys, I'm not kidding you. You can watch the satellite or the radar, and as the storm's coming across, it gets to where I live, and you can see the storm split in half and go around my town. I'm not even kidding. It's amazing to watch this where I live. And it actually kind of goes back to its original thing on the other side. It's crazy to see it. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have that happen here. But there is a downfall to that. Let me explain. When we get tornado warnings, this is what happened to me the other day, guys. That effect got me. Okay? Because that happens in the back of my mind somewhere. I'm telling myself, oh, nothing's going to happen. So I'm here online. Hey, Laura. I'm here online doing a live stream. My daughter's freaking out in the basement because our storm sirens are going off. We're under tornado warnings for initially they issued it for like a half hour. We were under a tornado warning for an hour and a half. They kept extending it because multiple things were happening. And I was still live streaming until my daughter come in, and I could tell she was really upset. And I was doing the wrong thing. And she called me on it, and there you have it. I shut my stream down, and we were gone. Anybody go back and watch that live stream, you can hear what she says. She says, hey, they got rotation over where we live. Get to the basement, please. Yeah, so that little, I guess, I don't know what to even call it, lapse of not thinking anything's going to happen got me. If something would have happened, I would have been done, right? So I shouldn't have been like that. I did the wrong thing, and I told you guys that in my last live stream. I apologize to you guys because I was not being a good example at all. And you guys were letting me have it in the chat too. I just gotta say thanks to a few of you guys. You guys said I'm leaving this stream if you don't get off live stream right now. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. So yeah. But, yeah, that's just what it is. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. I got a date with my daughter at 6:30. We are going to watch, guess this. Listen, guys, I got 2 sons. And out of all my kids, all 3 of my kids, I got my daughter. She's a senior this year. I talk about her a lot. You guys know that. I'm going to be sitting down with her at 6:30 today watching what? SummerSlam Wrestling. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. My boys didn't want nothing to do with it. My daughter does. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anytime she wants to spend time with me, I'm there anyway. So, but thanks guys for having patience with me. Sorry I didn't do a live stream yesterday, but as you guys know, by the way, this is the Australian model. I know I've been clicking around here. So I'll leave you with this image right here. And I'm bringing this up because look at this, guys. Things are standing up here. See this big dark filament right here? We have to watch this one. We have to watch this filament here. This one already released, so we could be getting hit with that. Now that's southerly, but if that snapped like at an angle here, that could be coming right at us. And also right here on the end, I'm going to pause it and show you what I'm talking about. Watch right here. There's not even a sunspot here. Watch this. See that? All right. See that light up right there? That's a CME. Now, did it leave the corona? I don't know. You know, it's an ICME if it leaves the corona. It means interplanetary coronal mass ejection. Interplanetary means it's going out into space, right? Also, I forgot to mention, the X-45 flare was so powerful, we got readings from Voyager at the edge of our solar system that CME hit. That's how powerful that was, that X-45 flare with the CME. Okay? So, keep that in mind. But anyway, guys, the sun helps protect us from the sun. We got to have some geomagnetic activity to help keep us healthy geomagnetically to help block things. Aurora is going to upkick if we do get hit. Right here is what they're planning on us having. I should have showed you guys this earlier. Some of you guys already dropped off, I bet. I meant to show you guys this in a minute. But right here, right? That's at any time. Okay? So, you know, if that density gets that high and our BZ actually goes -6 or bigger or more southerly, more negative, we could see a decent hit. They're forecasting the G2, which is a strong geomagnetic or moderate geomagnetic storm. G3 would be strong. G4 is severe, and G5 is extreme, in case you guys were wondering. Anyway, thanks guys for popping in here. Hermit, I am Hermit, Planet Hermit. Thank you so much for the gifted membership. That is, it's amazing. And just know, guys, I do not expect that, but I am so grateful when you guys do it. Okay? It is one of those things that I wish I could just say thanks all the time for. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying here. So, I appreciate you guys. Also, hey, I've been trying to think of some things to do for our members only chat. And I think I've kind of landed on something that might work. I'm thinking about, if you guys ever get on YouTube and you guys can watch, like the live court hearings. I'm not sure if you guys have seen those yet or not. They started doing court on Zoom during COV 19. Hey, Ron's in the house. Thank you for all the gifted memberships you've given, brother. I really appreciate you. But during those members only streams, I'm thinking about playing some of those, and we can watch it together and react. You can hear me react, and we can talk about it. Because some of that stuff is just crazy. You know, people doing family law or some of the bigger crime, some of the bigger courts. I know a lot of the judges now. I got a couple favorites, but it's fun to watch, and I think you guys, that would be something we could do as the Kool-Aid Krew over on the members only. So I would just say that. All right, guys, I am going to pop off, and thanks again, guys, for anybody gifting memberships. Let's see here. Who else was that? Who else did the single membership? What was his name? Was it Ed? I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to go back and look. But thank you, guys, and thank you for the super chat. Also, $20 super chat with the great question. So, yeah, I'm going to look into that too. Thank you. Thank you, Enlightened Truth Seeker. Appreciate you guys. Miss B, no, run, 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 run. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves. And as always, you can drink this Kool-Aid.